Alright, should we get into this?
Do we have to?
We don't have to. I could just pack it all up and we could just go straight. We could go home right now.
I mean, I have watched you set it all up, and I could just go.
You
could.
I
I'm not feeling it tonight.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just not feeling it. Well, I'm going to force you into this one tonight.
All
Let me
right.
turn on Do Not Disturb because I don't want anyone to disturb what we're going to talk about. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 47.
You didn't do the clap.
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, no. Oh, this is about 3, 2, 1. There it is. Now do I leave this in, or do I have to leave this in, or do I have to then?
Well, the gag. I can't do the same gag twice. I think now I do need to go home. This is terrible.
This could be bad. This could be very bad.
Oh,
no,
no.
you know what? We're gonna see. We're gonna. You know what? Not every podcast is gonna be golden standard. Some you got to grind through. You got to put the reps in, because once you put the reps in, then we become better at it. I think. So I think this is gonna be one of those ones.
But right? I feel like being that guy at the gym that you're trying to put the reps in. There's probably someone behind me just laughing at me.
Incorrect form. Just like, nah, mate, what are you doing? Come on, give me the mirror. I need to do it.
All right, do the thing.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Take 2. Let's try it again. Welcome to episode number 47 of the Board Game Gateway podcast. My name is Neeber, and I'm your host for this evening's episode. And sitting directly across from me is the one, the only Mr. Damien. Hello, sir.
Hello.
This episode, we are going to be having a chat about a couple of different games. We're going to be talking about Ceres, the new Euro spacey sort of game that I received on my Kickstarter door in the past couple of weeks. We're also, Damien's going to be bringing up Anhk. It's making a comeback. I think it's not really.
Anhk was fulfilled about a year. Oh, maybe not quite a year ago. So yeah.
It's making a comeback.
We're going
to talk about it again. And then we're going to be talking about our gateway game of the week this week, which is Ole Guacamole. And finally, then we are going to be talking about our discussion topic for this week coming into Christmas this year. We're going to be talking stocking stuffers. We've got a discussion topic coming for you to then, so we'll get to that. But before we get to that, it's lovely to have you here again, Damien. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell us, let's get into it. Should we talk about Anhk? I guess it's Egyptian themed. It's the one that had a reprint. Am I not? Am I?
No.
I'm thinking of Amun-Ra, aren't I? I'm completely out of it. Look, don't mind me. I'm going to let Damien take away. Let's talk about Anhk, shall we?
Anhk Gods of Egypt is the third game in the unofficial trilogy of area control games by Eric Lang. So for anyone who's listened to previous episodes, you probably would have heard me mention Blood Rage. Blood Rage is, I'm not going to say it's my favorite dudes on a map game, but it's definitely up there. It's a game that I'm always keen to play. Blood Rage was not Eric Lang's first dudes on a map game, but it was certainly the first in this trilogy. This has been a long-running trilogy, by the way.
That was all Vikings and Norse mythology.
That's right.
That
yes,
stuff,
and then
Ragnarok,
then he had Rising Sun, which was sort of Japanese themed.
Yes.
And now he has Anhk. I'm not going to go into the differences between the games. That's beyond sort of the scope of this discussion, and it would consume the whole podcast episode. But what Anhk Gods of Egypt is you are playing a god and the god's followers, and the goal of the game is to basically go up this faith track, and the faith track is basically your VP track. The game ends when someone either gets to the very, very top of this track, or it ends when you get to the last phase of the game and whoever is highest up that track. It's like, as I said, you take control of a particular god. Your god has some asymmetric abilities, so it does have a unique ability, but otherwise all the gods have the same unlockable actions.
Right.
In addition, they all have 6 followers, and the followers are, for all intent and purpose, identical across each god. They have the same power value, the same base power value, and
just
such.
plebes,
basically. Yes.
Dudes on a map, if you will.
In addition, you also have some monsters that you can unlock and control, and again, they act as followers that do your bidding.
So this is all based around the ancient Egyptian sort of
basically,
Ra, the sun god,
yeah,
etc.
That's right. What you are doing is you are deploying troops. Your god is permanently on the map. In fact, you start in a particular spot, so it is a scenario-driven game. So you will have a set scenario, and that's what you start with, depending which player number you are.
Yep.
And you are moving around the map. You are trying to deploy more peons to the map, if you will. And you are at certain points throughout the game that are triggered via really, really interesting ways. And it was definitely it was probably my favorite thing about this game. There will be a conflict. Now, it's not a battle. It's called a conflict, and it's correctly so.
Okay.
In some other area control games, you have a battle, and if you lose, typically you're just wiped out of the area.
Yeah.
Anhk is a little different.
Okay.
If you have a conflict and you lose, you can still get points. Yes, you may lose some units, but your god never dies, so your god remains. And so it's more so if you don't have majority in the area, you don't get the bonus point.
Right.
But maybe you're aiming for that. Maybe the build that you've gone for leans into that, and you're happy to sacrifice units. Or maybe your god's ability is that as long as your units are positioned in a particular way, they don't die.
Okay.
So what the actions that you take one of 4 actions, and there's a couple interesting things here. As I said, you're either moving, you're deploying, you are gaining followers, and followers are your currency in the game. You quite literally sacrifice followers. And I want to make it clear: followers are different to the units that you deploy. Followers are just they're just represented as coins.
Sacrifices, if you will.
Basically,
sacrifice him to Anubis.
Yes.
Yep. Sort of thing. Yep.
And then the final thing that you can do is you can upgrade your god's powers.
Yep.
Couple interesting things. These actions are ordered from 1 to 4. You get 2 actions on your turn, or up to 2 actions. If you take action number 1, you can then take action 2, 3, or 4. Not a problem.
Does it cost you the most amount of money or something to do that? Or?
No. The only thing is, though, if you take action number 4,
right,
that's it. You can't take any other actions. So you can't take an action that's higher than the current action that you've taken. So
I'm assuming that 4 is a better action theoretically than action number 1. Or
yes. So
like
4 is how you unlock upgrades.
Right. Okay.
And then the final thing about these actions that every time you take it, and this is a communal board, by the way, so all players are affecting this action row. Every time the token for that particular action type reaches the end of the row, that causes the game to progress, and there is a separate track underneath.
Right.
And there's a marker, and that marker will then move 1 step.
So that's the phase you were talking about. By the
exactly
end of the
right.
phases.
Yes.
Yep.
So it triggers the next phase. Now, some of those phases trigger battles which impact everyone. All the other phases, though, only impact the person who triggered the event. So there is this constant thing where you are going, I really want to take that action. But if I take that action, it means that marker is only 1 step away from triggering the bonus, which my opponent is going to 100% take.
Yeah, and he may not take it now if it's 2 spaces away, because
that's
he
right.
might want to put someone else near it.
Or you have this decision where you might say, look, I'm going to take an ineffective or less efficient action so that I can position markers in a particular way. So that way when I know when it comes back to me, not only will I get the bonus, but I'll also get the action that I want.
Yeah, it sounds very, very... I love those decisions where it's you can take the most efficient path, but then you'll be giving up something, and that something could normally be time, or giving your opponent an edge that maybe you didn't have to, and maybe
that's right.
Could be the difference.
Yeah. So throughout the game, what's going to be happening is you are going to be creating new regions, which then cause different conflicts. You are going to be adding new monuments on the board, which is how you score points.
Can you obviously upgrade your own god and your own religion to give you different powers?
That's right. Yep. So your god has 3 tiers worth of upgrades. You will be going through those tiers and upgrading those.
Love that.
The interesting thing about the game, now granted, I think the action selection mechanic is super interesting, and I really like that. I played this game at 2 players, and to me, that was the highlight of the game. It sounds really boring, but the options that you either try to manipulate and translate the scenario you try to create, or the options that you are forced to take, are always great. It really makes the game. However, and I will say, and I loved it at 2 players. It's very rare that you come across a dudes on a map game that plays really, really well at 2 players. This is one of them. Anhk is fantastic at 2 players.
That's a great sign, because I was going to say, it's like if you only play this at 2, does it feel like enough dudes on the map,
Yeah,
or
yes.
or did it more feel like it was that tug of war and that you were looking?
It was
forward to
definitely.
more
It's
people?
definitely a game about positioning,
Okay.
both in the action selection and on the board. At 2 players, it was sensational. Unfortunately, this is where I'm going to ask listeners to take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt.
Okay.
I played this game at 3 players immediately afterwards, and I did not like it at all.
Ooh. Okay.
Now, from what I've read, 3 players is the worst player count to play this game at. We did not know that going into it. Anhk has this interesting catch-up mechanic, and you don't have it at 2 players, but you have it at every other player count above. And what happens is it's either the second to last fight or the third. No, it's the third to last fight phase in the game. You have a merge of the 2 players that are coming last. Their gods merge.
Oh no!
So you basically
That sounds interesting, but I can see what this is about to do.
Yeah, so what happens is that they share their abilities. They share all of their units. Now, to be fair, they do reset for the most part. All of their monuments come off the board. All of their units, except for monsters, come off the board. And that definitely helps. But when you have 2 gods that happen to combine really well. In addition, when you have a state on the faith track where first, second, and third are quite literally sharing 2 spots side by side. I was the first player when this happened.
Oh no!
Second and third were quite literally. Second was the marker below mine, and third was the marker behind mine. When they merged, it meant that all of a sudden I had 2 gods that were merged as a single. They were sharing all of their abilities with the option to deploy up to 12 units to my 6.
Right. Okay.
And I had no advantage. I was only 1 space ahead.
So in a 4-player game, do you merge the bottom 2 into 1?
Yes.
So still 2 into 1.
It's still 2 into 1, but this is where I think that now I will say at 3 players in that particular scenario, it does not work. It just does not work. Like I saw it coming and there was nothing I could do. I think at 4 players, if you just look at the raw numbers, it still becomes a case of 6 plus 6 versus 12. So I think being able to control the board state is easier when you have 2 other players doing it. In addition, I think at 4 players, you would have more of a situation where you could have a runaway leader. Now,
that's probably obviously designed to.
Yeah. Now, we had all 3 of us had only played that game on that day. So we were kind of tracking up at an even rate. There was no runaway leader. And I appreciate it in a 3-player game, if there was a runaway leader, maybe it would have played differently. But I did not have a great time with it.
I can imagine that, hearing you say that now, and for anyone listening to this, please take this with knowing what our game group is. And you're well and truly in this game group, which is we love games like Root, like Food Chain Magnate, like Bus, like these kind of Splotter-esque brutal games where the guy in first, if you won, you did something, or you blitzed away, or you won pure score. Age of Steam, for example, those kind of things where it's like you can obviously tell who's going to win a few turns out, but we play it because that guy did the best job. This to me sounds like the antithesis of this, and my gut reaction goes, I hate it. I could not stand being the guy in first, only to watch the 2 guys at the bottom. I also wouldn't like to be one of the 2 guys at the bottom and then get shapeshifted into a guy that then gets to control the battle. I mean, look, I can see that some people would really like that. My initial gut reaction is like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Although at 2, it sounds like great because
it really was great at 2, and I think with the merge mechanic in play, you would have to play into that, and the whole table would have to be talking to each other and say, hey,
if you don't stop it,
it's going to merge, or rather, if you push too far ahead, I'm just going to let them merge because I can't stop you.
If you keep doing this to me, I'm going to merge in, and we are just going to annihilate you.
Or you could turn around to the player who's coming last, and you could say, hey, stay last, because when our gods merge, they're going to be unstoppable because of these powers. I can see that happening. But the issue I have is that when you're playing it at 3, it still is very much a case of one person
versus 2, essentially.
1 versus 2. And then there's little things that we noticed, like where I mentioned earlier, you can't take you can't take a lower action then take a higher action. In the merged god scenario, those players are taking one turn at a time. They can only take one action, but they're taking one turn at a time. There's nothing stopping them from taking the same action twice, which I as first place could not do. So they were able to just quickly flood the board with new units, and that was it.
And what can you do?
Exactly right. So look, I feel like the game doesn't shine at 3, but I'd want to reserve judgment until I play it at 4, because I think at 4 it could be really good, but it was sensational at 2. I'll definitely say that.
Well, then, I look forward to talking to you about this at a later date and just having a follow-up and seeing once you played it at 4.
Yep.
I'd love to hear about it, but sounds like, and maybe even maybe as well at 5, because this does play up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, maybe too long, but maybe it's definitely something that would help it at that 5. Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe it'd be one of those.
So I will say that was Anhk, Gods of Egypt, designed by Eric Lang, who is a sensational designer, one of my favorites, and it is published by Simon. Yes, you will find it online with a ridiculous number of minis because it is a Simon Kickstarter. If anyone's interested, you don't need it. The retail edition is more than amazing enough.
Blood Rage, Rising Sun, or Anhk?
Blood Rage.
Blood Rage.
And you asked the wrong question.
Sorry, what's the right question?
The right question is, are there any other games you would throw into the mix? And I would say yes, Commit.
Right, okay. Sorry, but I'm just talking about of the trilogy.
Of the trilogy, Blood Rage is still my
Blood Rage
favorite.
is still the number 1 out of the trilogy. Okay, but look, maybe you'll be change your mind when you get to 4 or 5.
Maybe,
We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so we're going to move on from ancient Egypt, and we're going to move on to the sci-fi setting of Mars and the asteroid belt. I'd like to have a chat about Ceres. This is a new Euro-style game that's come across into the stores. It's into my shelf. The Kickstarter has now been fulfilled in the past couple of weeks, and I got a chance to get this to the table. This is designed by Gustav Sundrom and published by Artopia Games. I'm sorry if I butchered those, but essentially I'll give you the quick lowdown. Ceres is set in 100 years from now, or thereabouts, a few hundred years in the future. We've colonized Mars, and then there's a whole bunch of different corporations which the players take control of, and then we have to go out there and we have to mine asteroids. The person at the end of the game who wins is the person who gets the most amount of victory points. You get victory points by doing one of two things, or one of a few things. Mainly either developing different buildings, either like terraforming Mars and stuff, the projects and stuff that you would have on Mars, such as habitats, spaceships, upgraded launching pads. These are just projects that you can commit to trying to do, and they obviously require resources. There are 4 different resources in the game: ice, electricity, or advanced ceramics is what they called it, and advanced minerals. So there's minerals, or electricity, ice, and advanced ceramics.
Cool.
Okay, those are the 5 things. You're very much in. The game happens over 3 rounds, and you have got 5. I believe it's 3 or 4 workers. So it has a mixture of worker placement and this kind of with a very interesting mechanic. You have on your turn, you can do basically one of 2 things. You can either play your worker onto a building.
Right.
Now, you can build, we each start with 4 buildings, and these buildings these are called our advanced starter tiles. And the reason that buildings can be advanced is because they come in 2 you can start them with 1 flavor. So if I go to the production unit place demo, I can build a building to add to my tableau that I have in front of me.
Yeah.
That could be of one of 3 colors: blue, white, blue, yellow, or red.
No chocolate.
No chocolate.
Okay.
And what we do from there is I can then, if I want to activate a red building, I have to take a red worker.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, the workers that I take from the board are not in my pile. There is a communal pile of workers that we all can take from. So I can either take from the communal pile from the thing to take a worker to activate,
Mhm.
or I can take and then that means I can activate the building. That may give me something like, hey, get 2 minerals and electricity.
Yep.
Cool. Bump up your stuff. And then it may also give you like some extra bonus points for like, hey, do or go over and use that action on the board for free, right? So you're looking, so maybe I'll activate this, gets me some minerals, and then I can do stuff. The reason why it becomes very interesting is because when you build a building, the first one that you build is whatever color you want. The next one, you could build the same color, red, or I could build a blue or a green or a yellow, right? Whatever.
Yep.
And then I slip that one underneath my initial building, and now I have 2 effects that activate whenever I activate the top ability. So
Yeah.
I could grab a yellow ability and go, I'm going to upgrade this particular building, but that means now to activate it, I need a red one because the red will activate first, followed by my yellow ability. And so that's really cool because it's a shared resource pool of all of these workers. They start with 3 of each color at the start of the game. So, technically 1 for each of... Sorry, we start with 1 less than each of the players in the game. So
Okay.
if it was a 4-player game, there would be 3 of each color out there. So not everyone's going to be able to activate everything, essentially. So that's the first thing you do. And then the other thing that you have is very much Euro-y. You have a leader. You have 3 of these leaders, and I can put these leaders on the spaces to activate those said spaces. If I get there first, great. Only 3 or 4 people can go there. +1 on however many players. So in a 3-player game, there'd be 4 spaces available.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can do it twice, but you've got to get there first.
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah.
A very Euro-y sort of thing. So the building mechanic was one of the things that really brought me to this game, which I really liked, because it has this idea of like, well, if I want to activate this building, I need to time when I'm going to do that, because you can't take a worker unless you can use it. You can't just take a worker and say, sorry, you can't use it. I can take a worker only if I can play it on a building.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see what everyone else is going to be doing. The other thing that really brought me to this game is the central theme is asteroid mining. So in the top left-hand corner of this board is basically a little lazy Susan rondel with 3 different rings of different asteroids. And essentially they're the asteroid belt near Mars, and we want to build probes to send into the asteroid belt. Once I claim an asteroid, I've claimed it for the rest of the game. It'll give you things such as an instant point boost.
Mm-hmm.
It'll also give you an instant production boost, whatever that is. So, like, hey, you'll get a ore and advanced ceramics, hooray! But then I also get that as a production boost in my production phase for the rest of the game. So the rings that are facing us, they are split into these what they call quintiles, or 5 segments, and basically 2 of them are facing Mars. Great, they're free movement. I can just move into that first ring for free once my probe goes up there. But if I want to go further into the asteroid belt, I need to have ice. And ice is one of those things that means like, okay, I need to build things to get ice so that I can send my probe up into there to get victory points. The first ring is only to pass the first ring is only 1 ice, but to pass the second ring is 3 more on top of that. And to get into the deepest quadrant, it costs me 5 more on top of that. So it's like 8 ice, which is a lot. You can only have up to 12 of one particular resource, all right? So for everyone who's listening to this game, if you've never played Euro games, it sounds like a lot of stuff. And it kind of is, but everything kind of makes sense as well. It's very much, if I go here, I can build this. And if I build this, I can get more of that. And if I get more of that, I can launch my ships earlier. Oh no, Damien's put his resource cube, his leader, in front of the position that I wanted to go because I was buggering around with trying to take all these different, different projects and stuff.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I do like worker placement games, but I will admit they're not normally my most favorite mechanic. But this one, for some reason, really felt fair, but it also felt fun because I could play the leader strat. Like I could put my leader cubes out onto the worker placement to take it. Or if I had been building up my tableau, my buildings with specific actions, I know that I never have to send my leader there because I need to get that worker to activate it and I'll still get it for free. And that kind of thing, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed this production. I will say, it is very grey. It does look like a planet and we're in space, but all of the tokens are very the contrast is really well. So it's like an orange, a bright orange, a purple, a yellow, and a white. So all the colors are very contrasty to the game board, and that actually does make it pop really well because you can see what's going on at a glance. There is some other things as well, which I haven't really mentioned. There is a political board, which is a very simple thing of like, there are 4 special powers that kind of break the rule, like break some of the rules of the game, such as, hey, you've got a mining drone. This drone allows you to go and work at one of your buildings that already has a worker on it. So you get to activate it twice in a round. That could be really powerful. But these cubes, there's this whole influence economy, which basically means I'm influencing the board to give me preferential treatment over everyone, and because I've been doing things around Mars, right? And so that influence economy could be really good, because it's like, well, they will give me these special one-off powers that I can use in the round no one else gets access to, right? So there's a lot going on, but it's actually not that complicated. We taught the game in like 10 minutes. I really enjoyed it. Got absolutely hammered by Blake. Blake is he has the mind to pick it up really, really quickly. He's just really good at it. But it was actually really close. It didn't feel like there was a runaway leader. It did feel like a couple of moments of, oh, I should have picked that up and I should have built that project, and because I didn't. I really like it. I'm looking forward to playing it again. We only played it at 3, but I do think at 4, the asteroid belt didn't feel that... it didn't feel that like crowded, but I think at 4 it would, and that would kind of make the whole building probes to send to that asteroid belt even more important. Because your timing has to be.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Because the games, basically, there's a bunch of games that I've been thinking of as you were explaining that. It's like I'm hearing things that are similar to Ginkopolis with the tableau building. I'm hearing things that are similar to even a Feast for Odin with just obviously not with as many, worker placement spots. And look, it sounds really cool. It sounds really interesting. But I know with a number of those games, they've either had to do something to make sure that it still played really well, so it still felt crowded at 2-player. So does the game play differently?
It doesn't play different, but the amount of action spaces per action is changed at different player counts.
Right.
So it does always feel like it is crowded. I will say though that the asteroid belt doesn't change based on player count. However, you only have access to 2 of the 5 quintiles every round.
Right. Yep.
If I want to go to the other 3, I have to pay a crap ton of ice to do that. Now, at the end of every round, we do actually spin them. So the bottom ones, they all spin once, then the second 2 spin a second time, then the top player spins a third. So everything shifts, and it does change up the asteroid belt, which is actually really cool.
I just thought of the game that it reminds me of. It reminds me of a game called Tekkenu.
Yes, with the old the spinny thing.
Yeah,
so
Tekkenu's got an obelisk, and the way it works is that the obelisk will either reflect light, cast a shadow, or it will have like a grey space, which is like a lighter shadow. And depending what dice are in there will depend what actions you have available and the strength of those actions. It sounds similar to that as well.
Yeah, and there's very standard Euro things here as well. There's like I can upgrade specific actions, so every time I take this particular action, I get a bonus as well. Yep. Or like for example, if I send a probe, the ice is cheaper, or aluminium is cheaper, right, for building things, right? So there's all these upgrades, and the paths that you take. There was one particular path where we're like, I don't really know why we would take this particular action or why it's very important, until we got to the late game. We went, none of us updated this action at all, and that's all we're taking. We have left so much money on the table that we could have. It is an amalgamation of what it does feel like a few different Euro sorts of games, with the tableau building, with worker placement, with the action selection stuff, how it kind of all works. But I will say the shared resource pool of workers to activate your buildings was one of those unique things where I'm like, I haven't really seen that in a lot of games, where here's the shared pile, take what you need first. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I've played it a couple of times. I'm looking forward to playing it some more. I don't know if it does anything better than games that focus on the specific things, but I will say it is lighter than a few of those games. It's lighter than, I would say, it's a lighter game than, say, Feast for Odin.
Yeah.
It's a lighter game than Terraforming Mars.
It's not hard to teach.
It's not hard to teach. I can teach the game in 15 minutes, right? And so because of that, I really enjoyed what it was providing, and I really kind of enjoyed what I'm looking forward to playing it some more. So look, it's a big thumbs up from me. I'm looking forward to actually showing you how to play because I think you'd be. I know you've got a few of those, but that was Ceres by Gustav Sundstrom and published by Artapia Games. So we've talked about a couple of bigger, serious-y sorts of games, but tonight we're going to be talking about our gateway game of the week, which is this little one here right in front of us. It is Ole Guacamole, and it is by Mask Games, or Le Scorpion Mask Games. And this is one that was sent to us by Let's Play Games Australia. They had no obligation for us to actually talk about this. They said, hey, we'd like to see what you think about it, but, do whatever you want.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So thank you very much to those guys. But with that out of the way, let's very quickly talk about how Ole Guacamole works. It is a word-guessing game. Sorry, it's not a word-guessing game. It is a word game, in which case we have a whole bunch of different cards in front of us, and all of these cards have different letters on them. So, for example, P, B, U, R. These are all different ones. We have the dreaded P and R avocado. These are all avocado slices that we'd see in our guacamole, and there's even a couple of triple-letter words in there. The way the game works is the first player is going to take the first letter off the top of the deck and say it's the letter P. She is going to say a word that does not contain that letter that is on the card that is on the table. So let's say, for example, the word is P. The letter P. I can say the word is
rabbit.
There you go. The great word. Then the next player has to then take the next card off the top and add it to the guacamole. The avocado keeps getting added to it. And now I have to say a word that is associated with Damien's word that does not contain these two letters. So what was the word you said? Rabbit? Is that
rabbit.
What you said? Rabbit. So now there's a B and a P on there. So I could say hare, the rabbit and the hare, for example. Rinse and repeat. We keep adding more letters on here until at some point you are not going to be able to think of a word. And everyone counts 12 seconds in their head. And if they get to 12 seconds and you've yet to say a word, everyone shouts, guacamole! In which case you then have to take all of the cards that are on the table and you put them in front of you face down. The player at the end of the game with the least amount of cards in their hand is the winner.
Cool.
That's it. That's the whole game. There are a couple of little fun things here. They do provide some specific little powers that you can do, such as the skip. I'm going to pass as the next player. I can actually point at someone else and go, hey, Damien, actually, you're going to take this word now. Sorry, sucked in. Or the dreaded double, the slice of watermelon that you can see here. The watermelon is double. That means I pick up two more letters and add it to the pile. And also, one final thing, there's a classic reverse there. There you go, reverse. Basically, it is a lime, so it goes one way or the other. You got that in there. Damien, we played this tonight, just me and you at 2.
Yep.
You destroyed me. I thought I was good at word games, but apparently not, because you just absolutely decimated me.
Yep.
This is such a simple game.
English good.
You do English real good. This is such a real simple game. It's one of those games where we can't really talk much more about because it's more about what this is such a perfect party game.
The game actually reminds me of the sort of word games that you do in a classroom when you were a kid. The teacher would just start writing stuff on the board, and a few kids up, and the kids all get involved. And it's one of those games that teachers just sneakily get in there, and they educate you.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers mean seriously, but. It's kind of what it reminded me of those sort of games. It was great. Obviously, these sort of games, they're not meant to be played at 2 players. You can play them at 2 players and they're fun.
To be fair, I actually had quite a decent time. Look, I was just sitting here just going, oh my God, I have to keep thinking of another word.
I did too. This game is definitely a party game. In its defense, and as a positive, it's very rare there are party games that also play well at 2 players. And this did play well, but it would absolutely shine at higher player counts. In saying that, though, one thing I do worry about is if you're right of the person who's drawn the first card and you're playing in a group of 10 and it manages to eventually get to you and you're looking down the barrel of 10 different cards in front of you going, the word is some obscure word. Because the other thing that Nee forgot to mention is that the word that you say has to be associated to the previous word.
That?
But it can't be the same word that's been used before.
Sorry, no repetition.
And it's like, well, you're looking at these letters going, I got no idea.
Now, the rules do say that you are allowed to use nouns, just no first names. Yeah. But you are allowed to use homonyms. So if I said the word cent, as in money cent, I could say flower. Because that's fine, right? So there is some leeway here. But the game itself, this is the reason why I started this podcast with you guys. Like, this is literally sorts of games where you get this. It's like, this is a game that I could literally put in my bag, take with me, and we can play a game. I do want to very quickly, I do want to tell a very quick story about these sorts of games.
Yeah.
Because before we get into our discussion topic. So, look, I will say again, that's Ole Guacamole by Scorpion Mask Games. We do give it a big thumbs up. Really recommend it. Can play up to 8. You can play it at 2, right? Whatever. The reason why I love these small box games. So on Friday, I actually had we had a staff meeting day all day, and in the afternoon we had different sessions, and one of the sessions was board games. So I, being who I am, brought a game of bags, right? A bag of games. Game of bags.
A game
wow.
of bags.
A game of bags.
That sounds. Wow. I'm intrigued, and yet
of bags.
Sounds boring.
A bag of games. So I happened to get to it my wife is laughing at me in the background. I happened to get to the room very late because I was helping fix up something else, and so they had already started playing games. Now they had bought games like Monopoly, some Guess Who, very like Hasbro, Kmart games.
Yeah.
Great, right? But I rock up with my game, my bag of games. I nearly did it again. And I was like, right, I'm going to play some games. And they're like, what do you got? And I'm like, I slammed the mine down in front of them. I said, we're going to play this game. They're like, what is that? And I went, I can teach it to you in less than 30 seconds. We played a full round of the mine, played it for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They were loving it, right? And they're like, oh my God, this is... And I go, well, I've got another one for you, right? And they're like, what? And I slammed down just one on the table.
Nice.
And I'm like, right. And so I explained to them how we're going to be cooperative and we're going to be helping each other out and how we're going to play just one. We did that, played that over 15 minutes. Did not too bad with 6 of us. Got, I think, 9 out of 12 cards. Did pretty well. It's great. And then a next one comes out. I'm like, all right, we're going to do one more. I slam Spot It on the floor, right, on the table. We're going to play Spot It.
Nice.
And they're all like, what is this? And I'm like, really simple playing it. And then the final one, I said, we've got about 15 minutes left. I've got 2 options here. We can either play Cockroach Poker or No Thanks. And they go, what are they about? I go, No Thanks is a fun game, a card game where we'll be putting tokens to say, no, I don't want cards, or we can lie to each other. And one of my teachers went, we're going to lie to each other. I went, sweet, let's play Cockroach Poker. And we knocked it out. And so all 4 of these games, they all took photos of the games. Because they're like, every time we played the game, I'd be like, this is like $20. This is like $30, mate. Like, you can buy this for $20. And they're like, oh my God, like, where do you find these games?
Yeah.
I was like, well, let me tell you about a website called Board Game Oracle where you can find the best deal. But there are so many different things that you can find in Australia. And the point is that people don't realize that these small box games, like these games you can buy for less than $20, and they are just so much more fun than just sitting around and just doing stuff.
And look, they're cheap. They fit in a small bag. Okay, some of these games you can fit in a pocket. Okay, and Ralph, I know you're going to be listening to this. We have this ongoing argument that I could not get a deck of 6 Nimmt into my pocket. Sir, I'm going to prove you wrong. I have a pair of shorts at home. I proved it. I walked around the game in my pocket. I was at dinner. Oh, sorry, I was at a lunch at my parents'. Got asked, hey, did you bring 6 Nimmt with you? Did I ever? Whipped it out of my pocket. Done. Ralph, suck it. So...
But I will say, you take a one shopping bag with these sorts of games, you can put 7 or 8, 10 games in there.
Yeah,
and people are like, oh, you've got such a collection.
Yeah, and the thing is, these are the sort of games that we'll pack when we go on road trips. We pull over at a park somewhere, we'll play it. These are the sort of games that if we're at a park, let's say my son's playing football or something like that, and I've got the whole family's with us, halftime. We'll play just while not much is happening. We'll have a game going, or even if the kids are just sitting to the side, they just want to play a game. They can, and it's really easy. You don't need a massive board. Yes, we talk about a lot of games that are quite large and they're all encompassing when it comes to the table. I appreciate that, but there are some sensational games out there that you get so much bang for buck out of them.
And speaking of, let's segue that straight into our discussion topic, which is because we are at the time of year where we can now gift said games to people. And so we had decided for episode 47 for our discussion topic to be stocking stuffers. And so the rules for this, we are going to present you a whole bunch of probably about 4 or 5 games each. And here are the rules. Okay. The games must be under $30-ish. There's going to be a couple of ones.
Yeah.
So for board games, around the $30 mark is what we're looking for. We're not including shipping, so just be aware that you're going to buy it online, but they also must be available. So, Damien and I, these are our stocking stuffer ideas for this year. So we're actually pretty excited because we love giving games. We love recommending games. So if you're listening to this going, I don't really know what I can get this person, why not get them a little game?
Yeah.
Because especially games that are really easy to teach, people love them. Yeah. So let's go through a couple. Damien, I'm going to start with you. I want you to bring up your first stocking stuff up for 2020.
Should we do our honorable mentions first?
All right, go on. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on. Do your
So
honorable mention.
my honorable mention is one. It is available. It's not available everywhere. If you go have a look online, you will see it. It is a locally produced game. It's produced by Good Games Publishing. It is called Land vs. Sea. The goal of the game, for anyone who's played games like Carcassonne before, it is a tile-laying game. The difference is in this one is that you have hex tiles. And what you are trying to do in the game is you are either playing as the sea player or the land player.
It's only a 2-player game, isn't it?
It plays 3 as well. There is a really interesting 3-player variant
cool.
as well. But
you want it to be like tied or something like that.
Kind of, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
But in most cases, it is a head-to-head game. And if you are the land character, you're trying to build islands, so complete land masses. If you're the sea character, you're trying to build lakes.
Yep.
And the way you get points is you will have different markers depending whether you're land or sea. Depending on how many markers you get for complete land masses, that equates points. If I remember right, I think it was the first person to 30 points wins. Super simple game. I played it a ton with my kids. We all had a blast with it. If I remember right, I think I bought it for like $32.
Yeah.
And good, like I said, Good Games Publishing, Land vs. Sea.
Fantastic. All right, Land vs. Sea is your honorable mention, and mine is a game that I just mentioned in my little segment, and it's Spot It.
Yeah.
So Spot It is a little game where it comes in a little, like, what looks like almost just an oversized tuna tin can. It's just a whole bunch of circle cards, and it's just basically an icon guessing game. I pull 2 cards out, and you just have to pick the icon that matches. And the way that the math works for this game is just kind of interesting. I watched like a number file video on how this game actually works.
Yeah.
But there will only ever be one icon that is equal and matching between the 2 cards. And all you have to do is yell it out, and oh my God, it is a pain in the butt to figure it out. Now, there are so many different variants of this. There's Spot It, Harry Potter. There's the game, I believe it's called Squabble or something. There's it's not Squabble. It does have a European name as well.
And also a Japanese variant as well.
Yeah, there's Japanese. There's like Spot It, there's Spot It Simpsons, Spot It like movies. There's all these different variants, but it is such a simple game. You can buy it for $24 at the moment. You can buy it in Target. Yeah, you can buy it in Target. Well, I believe the retail tax. But you can get it for under $20 at the moment.
I saw it today at Big W, the OG Spot It for $13.
There you go. Right, so my 6-year-old daughter destroys me at this game. You'd be surprised how good kids are at this, and they love it because they're just like, look at the thing, yell it out, and grab the card. And they love it. They love playing.
I will
that's
also
my
say,
honorable mention is Spot It.
Spot It, so just really, really quickly, Spot It is a game that they originally put in front of my son when he was 4. My son had a serious speech impediment when he was much younger, so he was never confident talking. Mm-hmm. But Spot It was a game that we could play because I got the animal variant of it, so it's just animals that you're matching, but the rules are exactly the same. And it was just, rather than him having to yell out the name of the animal, he just points to the animal on his card. And like, honestly, the same rules apply there. If you're under 10, you're just a gun at this game.
It's ridiculous how good they are. They are just ridiculously good. So, look, your kids, if you have young kids, you will be surprised how good they are, but also how much they like this game. All right, we're going to move on to now we have 3 each that we wanted to bring to this one. So, got a couple of there. So, Damien, what's one of your 3? Your first of the 3.
My first, so Christmas Day, we want to kind of start it off, and we kind of want to have a laugh with each other. We want to have a laugh. So my first one was Cockroach Poker.
Our number 1 game out of the board game gateway's number 1 gateway game.
Stole Cockroach Poker on the list. I demanded it.
That's fine.
Cockroach poker is, and I lied. We're not being nice to each other. Cockroach poker is probably one of the meanest games I've ever
It's
played.
so good. It's just a simple lying game.
It's just lying,
So good.
but the premise of the game is there isn't a winner,
Just one loser.
just one loser.
I love that.
So-
I love that.
And so the moment someone has two critters of the same type,
Four
no,
critters.
hold on.
Oh, wait. Oh,
The
oh
mo-
yes, sorry. Yes,
the
yes,
moment
yes.
someone has two of the same type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
critter
sorry,
in
no,
front
no,
of them, they are getting targeted the whole time. So
Oh.
if they have two flies in front of them, you'd better believe that every card that's coming at them, it's a fly.
The reason why I love cockroach poker, though, is because of the simple fact of that not only can I catch you in a lie,
Yeah.
but I can catch you telling the truth.
Yeah.
And if you're telling the truth and I say you are telling the truth, that also counts as you losing. And so people, this is the thing. Some people who don't really like lying can feel like, this is so bad because they'll just know that I'm telling the truth. And the answer is yes. So it may not be for everyone, but holy damn, is this a fun game?
Yeah.
It's like, so the other way that you can lose the game is not only when you get four animals in front of you, it's also if you lose all of your cards. So if one person just can't get anything through, like I've seen some people would be like, hey Damien, this is a cockroach. And they go, nah, it's not a cockroach. And you go, damn it. And they go, hey Damien, straight away, Damien,
Yeah.
this one's a cockroach. He goes, yep, that one's a cockroach. And it is. Damn it. He just, and like you just, there's a part of you that gets vengeful because you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a damn card past
And
Damien.
it's worth saying the reason why that happens is because the moment you get caught out on a lie, you have to go again. All right, and
Yeah.
and basically you could just end up just
Losing.
burning your entire
Yeah,
hand. I've only ever seen the game end once that way, and it happened. The reason why it happened was because it turns out the person at the table had gamed the system. They had, I think they had 3 stink bugs in front of them, but they had 5 in their hand. So they knew there were no other stink bugs in the game. So everyone just kept going, it's a stink bug. No, it's not.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so
Love
and so when the game finished and they showed us their hand, it's like, oh, that's why they knew it was never going to be a stink
that.
bug. But yeah, look, cockroach poker, sensational.
All right, I'm going to start with my first game. You can currently get this for $20.95 at the $20 mark. It is Herd Mentality. It's a
Nice.
relatively new game that came out within the last 12 months, and it's a really simple party game. It is literally the game where you want to be part of the herd. You don't want to be the weird pink cow that stands out from all of the rest of the white cows.
Talking about, I love being the pink cow.
The way this game works is that we're going to ask a question such as, what is the best biscuit? We are all going to write down our answers secretively, and then we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're all going to start going around the circle and reveal
Tim
what
Tam.
is the best biscuit. Tim Tam.
Tim
That is the right answer, Damien.
Thank
You would
you.
be part of the herd. Not
Yes.
the answer that I wrote at GubaCon when I was playing this game, which was Oreo, because I've been eating a lot of Oreos. And no, I agree with you. Tim Tam is the best biscuit, but I've been eating a crap ton of Oreos in the lead up to GubaCon, and then my mind was just like, well, that's the best biscuit, obviously. And I went, Tim Tam, Tim Tam, Tim Tam. Oh no! So the game ends when one player gets to 7 points, and you only get points if you're in the herd, right? So
Yep.
if you're in the herd, great. Now, if you're in the minority and you are the only person, you get the pink cow, and you're now the standout. The only way that you can lose the pink cow from this particular point onwards is if there is a super minority, which is there is one person who stands out from that point. So even if in the next round, if 2 people had said Oreo, but 4 people said Tim Tam, I still get the cow.
Yeah.
Because I didn't,
And-
there's not a singular person.
And the penalty with holding onto the cow is that you cannot score a point.
Exactly. Well, you can score points, you just can't win the game.
That's
So
right.
even
Sorry,
if
yes,
you
you
get to
can't win
7
the game.
points and you're still the cow, it doesn't matter. You
Yep.
lose the game.
Yep.
Herd Mentality is such a light, fun, simple game. Highly recommend. It's $20. If you see it, pick it up. It's so good.
Yep.
All right, moving on to your second stocking stuffer.
Second stocking stuffer that is really hard to say. Say that 5 times fast. It is the party card game, which I got many, many years ago. I really need to get a second copy because my copy is so heavily tattered. It has quite literally traveled the world.
You can fit it in your pocket.
Can literally fit it in my pocket, and that is 6 Nimmt. I maintain 6 Nimmt is my favorite party card game.
Love that.
It is super cheap. I think
Super simple.
super simple. Like, so the most I've ever paid for it is $18 Australian.
Nice.
I think that's the most I've ever paid for it.
It's good.
So when the premise of the game is basically you have 4 rows of cards. Your goal is to not close off a row by putting the 6th card there. If you do, you are picking up all the cards in that row.
And however many cow symbols you see in front of you, that's however many points you get.
And the goal of the game is golf score, to have the fewest points at the end of the round.
Well, technically, you want to have the most amount of points because the way that scoring is done is you start on 40 points and then once...
But
it goes
theoretically,
it's easier to go the other way.
Yeah.
Everyone starts at 0 and you count up to 40.
And the cool thing about the game is that you always have this decision of, do I put the next card on the line or do I just create a massive gap and just stuff everyone up? And the correct answer is always create a massive gap and stuff everyone up.
Every time. Why would you not?
But the fun part is that you are blindly putting your card down on the table. So while you may have a plan based on the current board state, if you're playing with 5, 6 or more people, once everyone flips a card, you don't know what the board state is going to be by the time it's your turn to put the card down because the cards are put in numerical order.
And they're simultaneously and then resolved in ascending order.
That's right.
So if you put in the biggest card, all of a sudden you may be like the 8th card that gets played.
But that's fine because if it turns out that the whole board state has changed and the rows have been taken and so on and so forth, and you've just dodged all that madness...
Yeah.
And then your card goes into a clean row. You're cheering.
Love that.
But if you're the person the worst feeling is when you flip all the cards and you immediately see you go, I'm the 4th person, but I'm the 3rd one in that row. That means I'm the 6th one. It's like, no.
Yeah.
So
it's a great game.
It's
really
so
simple.
much fun.
Plays up to a lot of players, which is
it goes up to 10. It's best at 4 or 5. But look, it's ideal Christmas Day sort of fun times. So 6 nimped. Highly rate it.
All right. My second game is a game which has... I blew budget a little bit here. It's $35 at the moment. It's a game called Monikers. Now, Monikers is what I like to call stupid charades, but it's better charades in the way that it works. Yeah. So the way that it works is very much, it is a highly curated pack of cards that you give to everyone, and they have names... and you have to get them to guess it so we start off in taboo style. So, in taboo, you have to get people to say a word by, Damien, this is a creature that likes to bark at you in the morning. It's your dog. Cool. Moving on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
The way that this works, though, is this highly curated deck of cards has very specific words on them, such as the woman who spilt coffee on herself at breakfast at McDonald's. Now, you have to say those words accurate, 100% accurate. If you do not say it 100% accurate, you don't get the card, okay? And so there's other things. So that's just one example of the card. We then have to go around, and this plays best, what I think, so you play in pairs. It plays best at 4 or 5 pairs, no more than that, okay? But then we go around, and every time you have to get it. And so the round ends when we keep going around, and then until everyone has a card, and each card has a certain amount of points, either 1 to 5 points, depending on how hard they are, how hard they to say. And then, cool, we tally up our points, and we go again.
Yep.
Round number 2 is we have the exact same cards in front of us, except now we're doing charades. And so I'm not allowed to speak. Or no, I do one word taboo. So I've got to say one word to get you to guess the exact thing. Now remember, you may be saying, well, how 20 words are really hard to remember. Well, when it comes back around the circle, you swap who was the guesser and who was the clue giver.
Yep.
So if I've seen a card and I happen to be, I will try and remember it. You do one word taboo. Great. Do it again. Then we get to round 3, which is we do charades. And so trying to mime the woman at McDonald's who spilled coffee on herself at breakfast is hilarious. And then you can then shut up and sit down and have a great video of this. But they do a whole bunch of other things where it's like, okay, then we have the 4th super secret round, which is you have to get behind a bench and use your finger puppets and do finger puppets of trying to, and then you can come up with as many rounds as you want. Highly recommend. It's great with a couple of eggnogs in you. It is really fun. It plays best at 4 or 5. Don't play it with 8. Like if you have 20 people, don't play it because it slows down.
Yeah,
you need people to fly around. You need the cards to fly around the circle quickly so that you can remember what it is. But if you do, trust me, it's great. Monikers is $35 at the moment. Highly, highly recommend.
Nice.
All right, your final stocking stuffer for 2023.
I'm going to say second to last. I'm going to add one more.
Oh, he's going to add one more. He's going rogue. He's going off script.
I'm going to go rogue. But
go for
the
it.
one that I originally had on my list, and I maintain it is. So I have played a couple games of this ilk recently, but Just One is probably my favorite word game that isn't Decrypto at the moment. I didn't add Decrypto in there only because, one, Decrypto is a little more expensive, and two, Decrypto has a little more overhead. Decrypto is probably not the game I'd put in front of family who, after a couple wines and trying to explain the game, they're just gonna, can't we just play a game of cards?
Yeah.
Whereas Just One, I've put in front of these same people, and we were laughing 5 minutes later.
One is completely a cooperative game as well, and one is a
that's
team
right.
game.
Yes,
so it's like we can say, hey, we're all working together, so it's fine.
Exactly right. Like I'm not gonna say they're apples and apples, but for the audience on Christmas Day, and also making sure we stay within the budget as best as possible, Just One's a better fit. Just One is a word game. What happens is that everyone is cooperating, but every round there will be one person, and this person is who has to guess.
Every question to this game as well that you have about it can be answered by the title.
Yes.
Just one.
So what happens is the person who has to guess the word draws a card off the deck.
How many cards?
Just
one. Sorry.
I had a moment.
Sorry, I got you in your train of thought there.
You're good. Bad. And then what happens is that they do not look at this card, but there will be 5 words on this card, and they will just randomly pick a number. At least that's the way we play it. And everyone at the table will see what the word is. They'll go, yep, and then the card gets put down, and then everyone gets a minute. I think it's a minute.
You just have to write a word.
You have to write a word. And everyone writes just one word on their little sort of prism thing that they have in front of them. I don't know why it's a prism.
It's because you can put it on the table and then you can rest the card in it, so it shows people. It's like a little it's a triangle.
I didn't think
it's
of that.
It's a little whiteboard triangle, like a nameplate.
Okay.
Because one end's got a little lip that you can rest the card in.
Clearly, we don't do that. So anyway, but the kicker in the game is that before the guesser actually gets to open their eyes and see all the words that are written, everyone who's written a word down shows each other the word they've written. Anyone who has written the same word or a plural of the same word or a hyphenated version of the same word for my brother-in-law who may be listening to this and makes up words, they have to rub out that word.
Because we're only allowed to have
just one word
of the same sort of word. But if you have multiples, you rub them all out.
Yes.
That word is gone.
So then once that's happened, you then ask the person who's guessing to open their eyes. They have a look. And let's say you're playing with 6 people and the 5 other people have written 5 different words. Fantastic. The person who's guessing has 5 words to look at to try and guess.
Do they get?
And they get just one guess. But what
that bit doesn't get old.
What invariably happens though is you will have 3 or 4 people who will write the same word, and they'll go, all right, fine. So they rub out their word, and then the person opens up their eyes and they realize they've got one word.
They've got 2 clues to guess.
And it's like, I don't know. The highlight in the game is when the guesser has one clue and they're looking at it and they get the word. And it's a small miracle, but or when they've got 5 clues and they still can't guess the word. Just One's a ton of fun. It's a co-op game. It's silly fun. I've never scored the game ever.
We score it, but never it doesn't matter. It's just
we play the game till we get sick of it, and it generally takes a long time before we're sick of it. So
nice.
Just One's really good. It's like $25 last time I checked.
Right. Well, my final game is Decrypto, the game that you badmouthed.
I didn't badmouth. I just said it's a little more expensive.
No, it's not. You can find it at the moment. If you go to boardgameoracle.com, right, you can find it for $21.
That is a bargain.
I know. And as soon as that was
cheap.
one of the reasons why I put it on my list, because as soon as I saw it at that price, I went, you have to get Decrypto.
Yeah.
Now, Decrypto is a team-based word guessing game, but where you're not actually guessing words, you're guessing a 3-digit clue. But what makes this game great is that everyone in my team, we have 4 words and each word is assigned to a number. Very simple. And then one player is the clue giver. They will get 3, 1, 2, and they have to give 3 one-word clues to get these team to guess 3, 1, 2.
Yeah.
So we're playing word association to guess a code here. Pretty simple. The catch is the other team is listening in on all those clues and they have their own 4 clues. The catch is starting from round 2, the other team gets the first guess at the code. So the more words you have associated with a similar sort of theme or group makes it easier to guess the words. The you win the game if you are able to guess the opponent's code twice, but you lose the game if your team fails to guess the code twice. So you are trying to skate this line of being obvious but not too obvious, because as we get into the later rounds, it becomes this knife edge of, I don't know what I need to say to get you to guess this word, but I'm going to start doing 3 steps around Mercury to get you there, and no one has no clue. It is so good. I cannot, we talked about this in our Goobacon episode in the review. I cannot explain to you how good this game is. I will debate you, though, to say this is the perfect game to put in front of people who have wind up a little bit, because the way that I can teach you the game is by playing the game. I can just say, get me to guess the code by using 3 one-word clues. And once they get that, then you just bring in, okay, now you guys get first guess. What?
Yeah.
They get first guess. You didn't, and they just watch people's head go, oh no. Yeah. It's so good.
But to me, the game gets really good around 4, or round 4, round 5.
Yeah.
And you've got someone who has to come up with words that haven't been used yet, that are unique enough so that the other team doesn't get it, but yet still obvious enough so that way your team still is able to guess the code. That just hurts. That really hurts.
It is so good. It is such a good game. It's my dad's favorite game. Like just period. It's one of his favorite games. This is Decrypto. I will say as well, we do play with the Hail Mary rule, which is that if your team has lost, you get 1 Hail Mary shot to guess the 4 words. And if you can guess all the 4 words, you win the game. Because that's our Hail Mary. It has not happened yet, but we've gotten close. We've gotten 3 before, 3 of the 4. So we've gotten to those 6 and 7 rounds where you're pretty sure you're on the right track of what this word is, but you just, that last word. So look, so those are our stocking stuffers. So we have.
I'm going to say one more.
Sorry, and
I'm going to say one more. All right. So I had one more that didn't quite make the list, and I kind of regret it. So I want to say it. Telestrations is my other one.
I have not played that in years.
Telestrations is one, and you know what? And it's for that reason. You can find it at Big W.
Yep.
It is the only game that it isn't mass market, but yet it's available in all mass market stores. It's under $30 consistently. And it is such a silly, fun game. Again, it's another game I've never scored formally, but it is Pictionary, but
with word guessing.
But it's basically Pictionary via telephone.
It's Pictionary Chinese whispers.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the way the game works is that everyone at the table will have a little sort of flip book whiteboard in front of them, and they will draw a card, and everyone will agree what number to look at on that card. And so everyone's drawing their own card. That card will have a word on it. And you got to draw a picture within the time limit that represents that word. You draw your picture in secret, and then everyone passes their books to the left. The next phase is the people look at these ridiculous pictures, they flip the page, and they write down what they think the word is, or the word was based on the picture. They then pass it on. Same thing, and then the third person reads the word that's been written. They can't look at the first picture. They flip the page. They then draw a picture based on that word. This repeats. This goes all the way around the circle until eventually you come back with your own flip book. And then at that point, you score. You have a look at whether the team was successful or not. Again, I've never scored this game because the best part is the reveal, is when you go, okay, so my word was this. And I remember one time my word was mermaid. So I drew what I thought was a mermaid. And I'm pretty sure what came back was a cat playing table tennis. Because it was just the most bizarre thing. And that's what it is. We were in hysterics.
Love it.
So, yeah.
During COVID, a particular app online got a lot of traction for Zoom play.
Yeah.
I think called Gardic Phone.
Yeah.
It's essentially exactly that. In Telestrations, the Gardic Phone was basically this kind of Pictionary Chinese whispers, but just digitally. And that's why it's so much better in person, because it's just like that reveal, like, what?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Now, I will say it probably won't fit in a stocking.
No.
It's unnecessarily big,
yes.
The box. It
does have to fit like 8 little whiteboard flip books in there. And
fair, but I still think the box will be smaller. But anyway, but it still fits all the other criteria. Yeah. It's a ton of fun. It's a great group activity. And like it's under $30.
Yep. So that is actually a really good pick, a really good late entry there. So that is Telestrations, Land vs. Sea, 6 Nymped, Just One, Cockroach Poker, Herd Mentality, Decrypto, Monikers, and Spot It. 9 really good games, relatively cheap. Like we're not just saying buy them because, hey, they're cheap. We actually kind of really like these games. That's why we're recommending them to you. We do think they all have a really good place in our collection. Most of us actually own these games and have multiple copies of said game because, like, I have Spot It, you have Spot It.
Yeah,
I have Decrypto, you have Decrypto. Like, we own these games and we recommend them to you because we actually do think they are quality. So if you're looking for a gift, now's the time to do it. We use now I've mentioned it, but we do use a site called www.boardgameoracle.com, and it is a site that will look at all of the online shops around Australia, and it will tell you where the best price is. So if you are inclined to do online shopping, have a look there. I can recommend that. Or if you have specific distributors, we can recommend Let's Play Games Australia. Gameology is pretty good, and Advent Games are 3 really good ones that we have in those
also
areas.
Let's Play Games. Good
Games
sorry.
Australia. Sorry, Good Games Australia.
Good Games is another one. But also as well, now's actually the time of the year to grab it. So
pre-Christmas sales.
Board game stores will be having their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. Yes, board game stores jump on that madness as well.
That option out right now because this is about to be released the day before Black Friday.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this, the deals are probably happening.
That's right. But also as well, a lot of these games are available at Big W, Target, Kmart. Check out the sites. Honestly, it's really great that these games are appearing more and more in mass market. Because they deserve to be, because they are really good. But again, look, you got that coworker, you Secret Santa at work. It's horrible. I know. I haven't done it in a while, but I don't miss it.
Get them Herd Mentality.
Buy them.
Just one.
Yeah. And it's like, my budget's like $15. There are a few games in there that definitely fall into that category, and they will love you for it. It's definitely better than, I don't know, the crappy bottle opener you thought you were going to get for them. Don't buy them that. Buy them a game.
They will remember it.
Yeah.
All right, let's close it up there with one final thing, which is that we are going to give a quick shout out that our tickets for our board game day are open and selling at the moment, and they are actually selling fast. We've actually had quite a few already go off, and we do have limited capacity. If you do want to grab your ticket, they are $15 each per adult, or you can buy a family ticket for $50. You can get it from B3GD 2024.com/tickets. That's B3GD2024.com/tickets. The event is B3GD. It's the Board Game Gateways Game Day. So make sure you go grab your tickets. You can find links to it on our on the website. You can also find tickets to it at B3GD2024.com. There is the link right there. Also go to our Facebook page. You can also find the links and stuff there. Get your tickets now. We are really excited to see all you guys there.
Yeah.
Play some games.
And we can announce a couple things as well.
Yes,
so we will have some board game giveaways on the day. So we'll be raffling off a few games. Very big thanks to Good Games for that. Also, we're also trying to organize a stall to be available on the day. So we will have more details on that coming out soon.
Hopefully have more details very soon about that.
But the plan at the moment is we are going to try and have a small stall that will be available there. So the hope, fingers crossed, the games that we play on the day, you might even be able to pick up on the day and buy your own copy. So fingers crossed we can make that happen. We are trying. But again, look, massive thanks to Good Games for donating a few games for our giveaway. We will have our own library there as well.
Yes.
So, but on top of that, we also encourage, if there's a game that you want to play and you don't get to play,
bring
it. Take the opportunity. There will be a number of able and willing people there who would love to play the game with you. But if you're coming up and you just want to be taught a couple of games, we are more than happy to facilitate with our own library.
We are looking at having Blood on the Clock Tower being played in the evening as well. So if that's something that you've heard about but never thought you'd be able to get enough people to play the game, we are going to be having a couple of games going with that in the evening. So look out for that as well. So that's going to be big fun as well. All right, I think we're going to leave it there. So Damien, thank you so much for your stocking stuffer ideas. I really enjoyed it.
Not a problem.
Make sure that you don't bring a game of bags, but a bag of games to your Christmas luncheon this year, because otherwise it could be a bit awkward for everyone. All right, anyway, until next time, until episode 48, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bag of